Hi, welcome to another episode of DEVC Must See. I am your MDC student and classmate in 206, Janice Belen. I will be discussing the trends in audio production under the Module 8 Basic Radio Hardware. In these modern times, our technology have evolved from the use of radio to contact ships that had been out at sea during the World War I. Radio communications weren't very clear, so operators usually relied on the usage of Morse code messages via radio invention. In the 1920s, following the struggle, civilians started to buy radios for personal use. Across the US and Europe, broadcasting stations corresponding to KDKA in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and England's British Broadcasting Company started to flourish. Radio was first used to transmit pictures visible as television. On 1922, the first on-air advertisement was carried by a New York station. America's airwaves changed forever. New York radio station WEAF broadcast the first paid radio commercial for the Hawthorne Court Apartments in Jackson Heights. Producer John McDonough tells us that behind that ad and the birth of commercial radio was the Bell Telephone Company. On 1926, the first permanent national network, NBC, was formed. On 1933, FDR broadcast the first of his 30 fireside chats. The FM radio was patented by Edwin H. Armstrong as the inventor. FM uses frequency modulation of the radio wave to minimize static and interference from electrical equipment and the atmosphere in the audio program. On 1960, Sony introduced their first transistorized radio, small enough to fit in a vest pocket and able to be powered by a small battery. It was durable because there were no tubes to burn out. Over the next 20 years, transistors displaced tubes almost completely, except for very high power or very high frequency uses. On 1963, color television was commercially transmitted, and the first radio communication satellite, Telstar, was launched. On late 1990s, digital transmissions began to be applied to broadcasting.
Shadyside, Ohio, devastated by a flash flood. Death, injuries, many missing. A time of terror.
I almost drowned. That's when I grabbed onto the piece of wood. Then the current was taking me under the bridge and it was taking me over.
But first, what is digital radio? Digital radio is the transmission and reception of sound processed into patterns of numbers, or digits, hence the term digital radio. Digital broadcast relies on converting data into a series of ones and zeros, or positives or negatives, rather than relying on modulated radio signals for transmission. On the other hand, traditional analog radios process sounds into patterns of electrical signals that resemble sound waves. Digital radio reception is more resistant to interference and eliminates many imperfections of analog radio transmission and reception. However, there may be some interference to digital radio signals in areas that are far away from a station's transmitter. FM digital radio can provide clear sound comparable in quality to CDs, and AM digital radio can provide sound quality equivalent to that of standard analog FM. FM digital radio also allows broadcasters to offer additional audio channels to the public using their existing FM frequency. In addition to audio broadcasts, digital radio offers simultaneous data services to listeners. For example, information about music may be displayed on the receiver screen when the music is playing. You also can program your digital radio receiver to display weather updates, traffic reports, and other news. Many electronics retailers sell digital radio receivers, and many automakers offer digital radio receivers in their new cars and trucks. Some models come with digital radio as a standard feature. In the United States, digital radio is broadcast using in-band on-channel technology. This enables radio stations to broadcast their regular FM or AM signal and their digital signal at the same frequency. In other words, a station at 88.7 FM would have a digital signal at 88.7 FM on a digital radio. On to our second topic, the online radio. Technology has also made listening to radio programs a lot more easier today. Internet radio is an audio service that uses the internet as a distribution medium of broadcasting instead of traditional radio waves. Webcasting is also another term used for internet radio or online radio, as it is not actually broadcast through wireless signals. In this form of streaming media, the content is usually provided live instead of being pre-recorded like some podcasts. Internet radio may also refer to standalone devices that connect to the internet via Wi-Fi or a local area network in order to stream internet radio audio services. You can access the internet radio with just one touch. Internet radios are available for download using your laptop, smartphone, or desktop computer. Using the internet services, you can listen to radio to news stations, to be updated, or music stations, just to give your mind a break from the stressful world and relax through some of the feel-good music locally and globally. Our inspiration lunch for today is the most important thing in communication is to hear what is not being said. That's all. Thank you. That ends my presentation. I hope you learned well. Please answer the questions posted in my discussion post and take some time to read the other posts by my group mates as well. Thank you for watching.